The fact that John Lennon was a gifted songwriter with a career that spanned decades and altered the course of modern music is not a fact that is often overlooked. There are scores of songs that have since become masterpieces that were written by the performer and his bandmate Paul McCartney. However, this does not mean that they did not have any regrets about it. During the early stages of the Beatles, there was a particular song that John Lennon was so embarrassed of that he once admitted that he wished he had never written it at all. Lennon stated that the Smash song, which was composed for the release of Help by the Beatles in 1965, had disgusting lyrics, which he felt so ashamed of since he could barely sing them. The song in question is titled It's Only Love, which may come as a surprise to your ears. A track that details a romantic connection, with lyrics that are straightforward and a chorus that is unquestionably catchy. It was written by both John Lennon and Paul McCartney. It is an underestimated track. It is only love, and that is all. But it is so difficult to love you, the lyrics of the song state. On the other hand, John Lennon expressed his disdain for the song, which was formerly titled That's a Nice Hat. In an interview with Hit Parader magazine, he stated, "That is the one song I really hate of mine, poorly written lyrics." In addition, he has referred to It's Only Love as the most embarrassing song I have ever written before. Every single thing rhymed, as Lennon said. It's a disgusting song. I was so embarrassed by the words that I could hardly sing them even at that time. That was not a song that I ever wanted to write, the singer said. The song, however, was more forgiving to his co-writer, Paul McCartney, and it was included on the second half of the studio album Help, which was released in conjunction with the film of the same name. Sometimes we didn't fight it if the lyric came out rather bland on some of those filler songs like It's Only Love, he said. Sometimes we didn't even try to fight it. Even though McCartney refers to the song as a filler, it is essential to take into account the milieu in which it was composed, which was the height of what is commonly referred to as Beatlemania in the 1960s. As the final of 5 albums that the Beatles had released in just 2 years, Help was released in tandem with a film that bore the same name. Please Please Me was released in March of 1963, and the album with the Beatles was released in November of that same year. Both the critically acclaimed film A Hard Day's Night and the song Beatles for Sale were released in 1964. Before releasing their 6th album, Rubber Soul, just 4 months later, the band released their first album, Help by Iron Swing, in the year 1965. It should not come as a surprise that John Lennon has identified a weakness given the magnitude of songwriting, as well as the fact that he was in his early 20s and making his debut in the music industry. The song is also representative of the band at the time, which consisted of a group of young men who wanted to write rock and roll songs that were fun and would get people getting up and dancing. They released daring concept albums, such as Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which was released in 1967, as they grew older and more experienced. This allowed their artistry to develop further. Having said that, It's Only Love is not a song that is disliked by fans. In fact, many fans commented on social media that it was one of the best songs that John Lennon ever wrote. It was stated by one individual that for 99% of bands, this would be their ultimate masterpiece. But for the Beatles, it is an underrated gem. John's voice is just so raw and emotional with this track. According to another explanation, it's without a doubt one of the best songs that John has ever written. I don't care what John thought, this was a great song, responded a third person. I can't believe how underappreciated this song is. It was so awful that even John detested it. It is wonderful, said yet another admirer. Only 6 takes were required to perfect the recording of It's Only Love, which was done in June of 1965. 3 electric guitars, 2 acoustic guitars, and George Harrison's 12-string Rickenbacker were recorded to finish the 2-minute piece. Lennon made the decision to double-track his vocals on the 6th take, and he also recorded 5 guitars to complete the track.